Okay, so we've gone ahead and sewn the inside part of our mask, and now we're going to sew the front. Again, we're working with the material right sides together, so the pretty part is on the inside. And we're going to go ahead and sew a seam straight along this curve here, a straight seam along the curve, and we're going to do that with our needle in the rightmost position. If that is difficult for you to work with the needle in that position, feel free to move it to the center of the foot, and you can go ahead and work with more material. You'll have to find the fit that's best for your face. So again, I'm going to set that down with my fabric lining up with the edge of my foot, and I'm just going to sew that seam down along the curve, making certain that my fabric follows the curve to the best of its ability, and picking that up, freeing my fabric from the needle and removing it from the machine. Okay, time for what is sort of the trickiest part. So you're going to go ahead and clip the seams up to your stitching, but not too close. You don't want to cut through your stitches. We're going to grade the seams here so that we can have them turn the corner when we go to make that front piece like this. The inside, it's okay if it's a little stiffer. We're not going to grade that seam. It saves time, and we don't need it to be as rounded. I actually like it a little bit stiffer inside, but this part does need to round that corner nicely. Now, if you've ever worn pantyhose, some of you may have, that kind of helps with the idea of what we're going to do. So we're going to gather the edge up in our hands, kind of like you gather pantyhose for putting on, and then you're going to go ahead and smooth the fabric under the foot of the machine like this with your fingers while holding it in place so that it sews down. It's very common for this not to be perfectly even, and that's okay. A trick for this one that I do is I move my foot back to the center position, and I will use the center of my foot as a guide. That's up to you if you would like to do that or not. So I'm going to go ahead and use another trick I know, which is when you position your fabric, you can go ahead and lower your needle into place so that you start out where you're hoping to, and then you can set your foot down. Again, my material is all gathered, and I'm going to use my fingers to guide it under the machine while straightening it here and helping the seam allowance to be put underneath. If you have a bunch of feet for your machine, one of the things you can do is find a nice clear foot. This foot has a channel that lets me see what I've sewn. I hope you can see as I'm sewing here, so that it knows, or I know rather, where I'm at. There's all kinds of things that you can use to help your machine be easier for you, depending on your needs. Alrighty, so I'm going to snip those off there, and there's our part. So this is the outside of our mask, and you can see when we push with our fingers that we've gone ahead and we've got some top stitching now. It's not perfect, but it's going to be certainly good enough for what we need it to be. And the next step will be joining our parts.